Some seriously concerning updates coming out of Thailand right now that every expat, digital nomad, and tourist needs to hear about. This affects anyone who's been living in Thailand on visa exemptions and border runs. What's happening right now is unprecedented, and if you're in Thailand or planning to go there, you need to pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you. The Thai government just announced a major crackdown on border runs, and things are getting real. Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul and Police Chief Kittisast Fansafat rolled out 4 new enforcement measures specifically targeting foreigners who've been abusing the border run system. If you've been doing the border run game, you're now officially in their crosshairs. And here's the critical detail that everyone needs to understand. The very first wave of enforcement checks will specifically target digital nomads and people with multiple border run stamps. You're literally at the front of the line for scrutiny. Immigration has made it crystal clear that digital nomads and border runners are priority targets. This isn't random enforcement. They're coming after these 2 groups, first and hardest. Let me break down exactly what this means. If you're a digital nomad working remotely from Thailand, even if you're doing everything legitimately, you're now under a microscope. If you have a pattern of border runs in your passport, you're flagged. Immigration officers have been specifically instructed to focus their attention on these 2 categories of foreigners before anyone else. This is a targeted campaign. Here's what's happening on the ground right now. Immigration is tightening controls at every single entry and exit point across the country. They're not just stamping passports anymore. They're analyzing how frequently you're crossing borders. They're looking into your income sources. They're asking questions about where your money comes from and what you're doing in Thailand. If you're working online without proper authorization, expect heightened scrutiny at every checkpoint. And here's the kicker. They now have the authority to cancel your visa on the spot if they suspect you're doing fake tourism. That means if an immigration officer decides your travel pattern looks suspicious, they can deny you entry or revoke your current visa right there at the border. No appeal process. No second chances. You're done. But wait, it gets worse. There's a major change that just went into effect that everyone needs to know about. If you've already done more than 2 border runs this year, you still have time to make 1 more land border crossing until November 16th. After November 16th, you're looking at serious restrictions. The new policy caps you at 2 border runs total per year starting next year. Let me spell this out clearly. That's a maximum of 180 days per year in Thailand on visa exemption stamps. You can get 60 days on entry, extend it for 30 at immigration, so that's 90 days times 2. That's it. For anyone who's been doing the classic land border routine multiple times a year, those days are completely over. And here's something that's catching people completely off guard right now. If you've got existing border stamps and extensions in your passport, and your latest stamp expires around November 17th, you're in for an unpleasant surprise. Land borders to Laos are going to turn you away. Your only option at that point is an emergency flight border run, and you're almost certainly going to have to deal directly with an immigration officer who's going to ask you some very uncomfortable questions about why you've been in Thailand so long. Now let's talk about the Cambodia situation, because this just made everything exponentially worse. After military clashes between Thailand and Cambodia, the Cambodia-Thailand border has been completely shut down. This is absolutely huge. If you're in Pattaya and you were planning to do a quick border run, your closest option used to be Cambodia. That route is now completely closed. Your nearest available border run is all the way up in Laos. Think about what this logistically means. Pattaya to the Cambodian border used to be the go-to quick fix for literally thousands of people every single week. A few hours drive, quick stamp, back the same day or next morning. That entire infrastructure is gone now. Now if you're in Pattaya, you're looking at traveling all the way to Laos. That's significantly further. That's more money. That's more time. That's more uncertainty. The message from Thai authorities could not be more crystal clear. They want digital nomads and chronic border runners either out of the country entirely, or they want you on proper long-term visas with all the documentation and requirements that entails. They're specifically stating that they're going after people they believe are running shadow businesses or involved in cyber scams and online fraud operations. Even if you're completely legitimate, even if you're just a freelancer working for clients back home, if your travel pattern looks suspicious to an immigration officer, you're going to face serious problems. Immigration officers now have broad authority to reject entry if they believe you're living in Thailand without proper legal status. And they're not just looking at your current stamp anymore. They're reviewing your entire travel history. Multiple stamps from land borders over the past year? Immediate red flag. Working remotely without a Thai work permit? Red flag. Frequent short exits and re-entries every 60 or 90 days? Major red flag. All of these patterns are now being actively monitored and flagged in the system. Now, here's something important to understand about the political context. Experts who follow Thai immigration policy are pointing out that these kinds of dramatic policy shifts aren't uncommon when governments change hands. The current administration has been operating on a temporary basis for the past 3 months, and there's a real possibility they might reconsider or modify these measures once their official mandate ends and a new government takes over. So this crackdown might not be permanent in its current form. But here's the thing, you absolutely cannot count on that. You cannot plan your life around the hope that these policies will be reversed. You need to operate under the assumption that this is the new reality. Because right now, today, these are the rules that immigration is enforcing at every border checkpoint. Despite all these restrictions and all this enforcement, there are still some potential workarounds that people are discussing. Entry through the green corridor, and I want to be very clear, this is not the same thing as the fast-track service, is still technically allowed under current regulations. Here's the strategy some people are considering and talking about in expat communities. If you do an airport border run and fly back into Thailand through the airport, rather than crossing a land border, you could potentially reset your border, run counter, and qualify for 2 more land border runs in the next calendar period. Now, I'm not saying this is guaranteed to work. I'm not saying immigration won't close this loophole. But as of right now, this is what people are discussing as a potential way to navigate these new restrictions. The key difference is airport entry versus land border entry, and how those are counted differently in the immigration system. But let's be absolutely real here. The overarching message from Thai immigration authorities is unmistakable. They want digital nomads and chronic border runners, either out of Thailand, or they want you properly documented with legitimate long-term visas. They're specifically targeting people they suspect are running businesses under the table, working without permits, or involved in any kind of online criminal activity, including scams and fraud operations. Even if you're completely legitimate, even if you're just living your life and working remotely for legitimate clients or a legitimate employer, if your travel pattern fits their profile of suspicious activity, you are going to face increased scrutiny and potential problems. Immigration officers now have the explicit authority to reject your entry if they think you're living in Thailand without proper immigration status. And the critical thing to understand is, they're not just making decisions based on your current stamp, they're pulling up your full history in their computer systems. They can see every entry, every exit, every extension, every border run you've done. Multiple land border stamps over the past 6 months or a year, you're immediately flagged in the system. Frequent pattern of 60-day entries, followed by 1-day exits and immediate re-entries, that's a major red flag that's going to get you pulled aside for secondary inspection. All of these patterns are now being actively monitored, tracked, and flagged in immigration computer systems at every checkpoint. This isn't casual enforcement anymore. This is systematic, data-driven enforcement with clear targeting of specific behavior patterns. If you're currently in Thailand without a long-term visa and you've been relying on border runs to extend your stay, you need to start making concrete plans right now. This is not a drill. This is not rumor or speculation. The Thai government is not playing around anymore with visa policy. This isn't just bureaucratic talk or press releases. These are active, real-world enforcement policies that immigration officers are implementing right now at every single checkpoint across the country. The era of easy, unlimited border runs is completely over. Thailand has made a clear policy decision that they're done being a haven for people gaming the visa system. Whether you're a completely legitimate remote worker, a digital nomad with proper income and no bad intentions, or someone trying to live here indefinitely on tourist stamps and border runs, the rules just change dramatically. And if you ignore these changes, if you think you can keep doing what you've always done, you could find yourself turned away at the border with absolutely no backup plan and potentially banned from re-entering Thailand. If you found this information valuable, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps us continue bringing you these important updates about Thailand. Your support means everything to us.